What's up, everybody? So you're thinking about moving to the Oregon coast, but you're thinking, man, there's got to be some reasons why I shouldn't move to the Oregon coast. In this video, we're going to go over the top 8 reasons that you should reconsider moving or living on the Oregon coast. And we're going to get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living on the Oregon coast, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market on the coast. My name is Eddie, and I get emails, calls, and texts every single day from people just like you looking to make a move to the coast, wanting to know more information about the coast, wanting to know about the current market on the coast. Well, if that's you, then make sure to subscribe, because whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, I want to get in contact with you to help you reach your real estate goals. And that's what we're going to do. Today, we're going to go over the top 8 reasons why you should reconsider moving to the Oregon coast, and we're going to get after it right now. Well, number 1 on the Oregon coast of the reasons not to move to the Oregon coast, number 1 is the high cost of living. The cost of living has gone significantly up in the last 4 years since the pandemic, and it does not stop on the Oregon coast. Housing prices are up over 50%, and on the Oregon coast, that's no different. We've got an average, a median home price in, say, the Portland, Eugene, Corvallis, Salem area of $500,000. On the Oregon coast, that's all the way up to $650,000 roughly. So your affordable housing options on the coast aren't great, and your cost of living isn't great. When you're going to the grocery store anywhere, I think in the United States, it seems like every time you go get one bag of groceries, it's going to be $100. Well, when you're on the Oregon coast, it's no different. I mean, it is so expensive to be on the Oregon coast. And when you're talking about your median list price, you go town by town, you've probably got to be inland. You're not going to get an ocean view. You're not going to get a lot of acreage. If you think that's what you're going to get and do it affordably, I get a lot of calls. A lot of people, they want, 2+ acres. They want privacy. They want a view. They want this and that and the other. And they want to spend, $300,000 to $350,000. That's just not going to happen anywhere on the Oregon coast. I don't care if you're Brookings, Florence, Newport, Walport, Pacific City, Astoria. It just doesn't happen. So you just got to kind of understand that the cost of living, no matter where you're at in Oregon or in the United States, is going to be way lower normally than the Oregon coast. So just expect to spend more, because look, you're getting food over here, you're getting fuel over here, you're getting whatever you're getting. It's got to be transported all the way over to the coast. It may be an extra hour or two to the coast, but that's just going to up the cost of living. So that's number 1 on our list of the top 8 reasons not to move to the Oregon coast. Number 2 is it's a challenging job market. Now, there are obviously going to be a lot of job openings because people and organizations, institutions have job openings, but those are going to be competitive. They're going to be not as lucrative. And you got to just think, logging, fishing, farming, all these things, they've kind of slowed down over the last 2 decades, especially in Oregon, where there's a real big environmentalism push in Salem, the state capital. And so, there's mills up and down the coast that, whether they did different types of things in the timber industry, they've been completely removed or completely reduced heavily because of a lot of the sanctions and oversight coming from that area. So the same thing is starting to, there's an attempt to do the same thing with fishing. There's only a few areas along the Oregon coast that has, great farming. There's specific farming, whether it's cattle, maybe the dairy industry up in the Tillamook area, or the cranberries down in Bannon. There's farming up and down the coast at different areas. When you're talking about jobs, it's going to be a lot of government jobs, a lot of service industry jobs. And, when it comes to the trades, there's jobs there, but with the economy kind of teetering, here in 2024, it's you wonder, inflation when it comes to building costs and material costs. I mean, the labor costs is gone through too. So if you're a trades guy and you're coming to the coast, you're actually going to have a good option there, just because there's a lot of tradesmen on the coast, but they're overwhelmed and they don't have a lot of help. It's hard to find, skilled labor. And also, they're out 2-3 months. So if you come in, that is going to be a good option if you're a tradesman looking to move to the coast. But the job market is challenging. So you just have to think through, before you move, do you have a job? Do you have a career? What are you doing? And because with the higher cost of living, those jobs are obviously going to be something. So that's number 2 on our 8 reasons not to move to the Oregon coast. Number 3 on our list is expensive housing market. Whether you're looking to buy or you're looking to rent or build, no matter what you're trying to do, it is going to be a very difficult task here on the Oregon coast. We're just going to take one county. That's Clatsop County. That's Astoria, Northern Oregon coast. You've got an average median sales price of $539,000 to be exact. That's, almost $50,000 more than the Portland area. And the state average is right around $492,000. So you're over $40,000 roughly more than the rest of the state when you're just on the northern coast. Not only that, but there's significant homeless issues. There's affordability issues. Each county and each city, they've got ridiculous regulations on building. I mean, the DEQ of Oregon is coming down, creating some really ridiculous rules when it comes to septics, because a lot of these towns on the Oregon coast, they're not necessarily on city sewer, so you've got to get a septic. Well, now the DEQ wants to put all these extra rules on septics and how you're going to do that. Not only that, but on wells. So septic, well, different things. Those are an issue when it comes to the Oregon coast, and those stricter building regulations. There's geographical limitations. There's all kinds of things on the Oregon coast when it comes to building that are going to make it harder. So you've got, the housing is more expensive. There's not a lot of affordable housing. There's homeless issues. There's struggles with building because of, strict code issues, strict rules when it comes from county, city, state, and the cost is exploding, where you could build a pretty nice house in 2010 for maybe $250,000. That house now is going to be $550,000, and it's the same house on the same lot, on the same street, in the same city. So you just got to think through those things that you're going to definitely want to understand when moving to the coast. But expensive housing market and its expensive housing options on the coast is definitely one that you're going to want to take a look at when moving to the Oregon coast. Number 4 on our list is weather conditions. There's a couple different things that we're going to talk about when it comes to weather, and I'm going to just compare and juxtapose the Willamette Valley or the I-5 corridor, and we're just going to take Salem, the state capital, and we're just going to compare that to coastal cities, okay, maybe Newport or Astoria. When you're thinking about, number 1, the temperatures, there's going to be really a pretty big variability in the average temperature when it comes to July. In July, you're going to get, in the evenings, it might get to about 50 degrees. And in the, during the midday, it's going to be around 80 degrees, the average high temperatures in July in Salem. Whereas on the coast, you're going to get typically somewhere around the 50s to the 60s, and if it's a very nice day and it's that perfect day, you might get up to 70 when there's no wind and there's absolutely clear day, and you might only get it for one day. So you're really battling the coastal weather a lot, so you're always packing a hoodie, you're always packing a jacket or a windbreaker, because you just never know when the weather might change, whether it's July or it may be in December. So definitely the temperature variability is going to be a lot colder on the coast. That's why a lot of people that live on the coast, they might live a few miles inland, whether that's, on the Central Oregon coast, that's like a Toledo or a Siletz, or it might be, something like Otis, or something a little bit more inland, like a Coquille or a Myrtle Point, or something like that. When you're on the coast, you might live more inland so that you get out of that, you know, kind of windy, more marine layer type of area on the coast. Number two, when it comes to weather, is precipitation. I mean, we'll just take Salem in February. They're getting on average about 4.5 to 6.5 inches of rain in the month. Okay. Whereas in contrast, on the Oregon coast, on those same months, you might get 10 to 12 inches of rain. So you're getting 2 to 3 times more rain on the Oregon coast than you are if you live just an hour inland on in the Willamette Valley on the I-5 corridor. So those are things that you're definitely going to want to consider. And then if you go, say, Central Oregon, like the Bend, Redmond area, they're getting even less precipitation. Yes, they get snow, but they don't really get a lot of rain because that rain gets sucked out by the coastal range, and then it gets sucked out by the Cascade Range. And by the time it gets to the high desert over in Bend, it's just not as rainy. So if you don't like those rainy days, you know, that's just something that's definitely going to be happening on the Oregon coast. Up and down, whether it's Astoria or Brookings, you're getting about 80 inches on average of annual precipitation. Number three is your fog and overcast conditions. These are the things that definitely you're going to want to think about when moving to the Oregon coast. You're going to experience when the weather's unbelievable, whether it's May, July, August, it's unbelievable, and you know it's hot in the valley. So the valley, when people say the valley, normally they mean, you know, Eugene up to Portland. That's the Willamette Valley. When it is 80 to 90 degrees in the Willamette Valley, what's going to happen is you're going to get a beautiful 1 to 2, maybe 3 days on the Oregon coast, and then that third or fourth day, maybe even the second day, it's a fog layer. We call it the marine layer. It gets pulled up right up against the coastline. And so right on the coastline, all those coastal towns, you know, from Seaside, Cannon Beach, Rockaway, Pacific City, Newport, Walport, Florence, Reedsport, all of those cities are just getting inundated with clouds. So it's beautiful all around the state. It's unbelievable. 80 degrees, 70 degrees, 90 degrees in some cases in Roseburg and Grants Pass and Medford and Salem. But on the Oregon coast, there's this marine layer. So you're getting this marine, and that's why people like to live, you know, 6, 7, 10 miles inland from the coast, because they can go enjoy the coast in 5 minutes, but they also have, you know, that 60, 70 degree weather because they're not getting inundated by the marine layer of fog. And just know, you know, from November through April, it's going to be foggy, foggy, foggy. Well, maybe not just fog. Fog is more dense and low. It's just going to be gray, you know, there's going to be gray, there's going to be rain, there's going to be that kind of feeling. And then it'll break open for a week of, you know, some of the most beautiful days ever. So that's kind of that's how people live on the coast. They just enjoy the gray, they enjoy that. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, there's the sun, there's the blue of the ocean, there's the sky, there's the warmth of the sun. And it's like, oh man, this is amazing. And then you go back outside and it is cloudy and rainy again. That's just how it goes on the coast. So that's definitely something that you're going to want to think about when moving to the coast. And that's number 4 on our list of reasons not to move to the Oregon coast. These next ones we're going to go through rather quickly. Number 5 would be natural disaster risks. What are the biggest risks when you're thinking of moving on the Oregon coast? Well, the biggest one, I mean, all over the country, there's different risks. I mean, right now there's crazy tornadoes ripping through Nebraska, Oklahoma, Iowa. I mean, that's happening right now. And you've got hurricanes in Florida and up the eastern seaboard. You've got, you know, doesn't matter where you're at, there's going to be some type of natural disaster risk along whatever region of the world, really, and the United States. But on the Oregon coast, there is something that we don't know of that hasn't really happened. But since the huge earthquake over in Japan in 2011, I believe, there's been this big push that the Cascadia subduction zone just off the coast of Oregon could break and create a massive, unreal earthquake, 9.5 or greater earthquake that will create one of the largest tsunamis that we've ever seen. And what they say is if this earthquake happens, pretty much all the bridges are going to go out. There's going to, you know, there's some crazy things that could happen. If you drive up and down the Oregon coast, you're going to see these tsunami signs, this tsunami evacuation zone. You're always going to want to know if there is an earthquake You've got 15 minutes to get to high ground. What's high ground? Anything 80 to 100 feet above sea level. In elevation, you're going to want to think through those things. A lot of people are like, man, I don't want to live on the ocean. I don't want to live on the coast. I mean, yes, I get it. When I talk about ocean or coast, I'm talking about something that's right on the beach or right on the ocean. And a lot of towns, they're actually elevated above the ocean. So like, Newport or Brookings, they're actually up on like a bluff, Lincoln City. And they're probably, 50 to 200 feet above sea level and elevation. And you kind of got to walk down to the beach. And, if there was a massive tsunami, it would obviously take out those low-lying areas. And probably if there was that earthquake, a lot of the bridges, they've said a lot of the bridges along the Oregon coast, and we'll talk about that later, are weak. But, there's going to be total destruction if that happens. But that's how it is anywhere you live. If there's an earthquake or there's a tsunami or there's a tornado or a hurricane or a crazy snowstorm or flooding, you can't really control that stuff. And, that's just the life that we live. We go and do things. There's going to be risk, but it is what it is. So living on the coast, a lot of people don't think about the tsunami or the earthquakes that could happen. Obviously you want to be a little prepared. How do you get prepared for that? I've heard some people like, oh, I have a life vest. Look, if you're going to get swept up by a tsunami, you're done. It's over. The best thing is you got to be, I would say, be more prepared with, the power is going to go out and it's going to be out for months. We've seen, just this year we had a big ice storm along the Oregon coast, along all of Oregon, and power was out in some places for a week, 10 days. And people were not doing well. So you've got to be prepared. Like, do you have a generator? We have a generator at my house that is propane, or you could get, solar power, which might be, but at least you have a little bit of power. You got to have power. You got to have water. I'm on a well. Well, if I have power, then I have water. And if I have water, I'm good. But there's also the rain. You can obviously put out a bucket and boil it. We have a wood burning fireplace, that's going to take care of us if the power's out. We need heat in that way. So those are things that you're going to want to prepare for. I'm outside of a city, so I'm also on septic. I'm not on a sewer. All those things, if there's a massive earthquake, I hope that my house stays put and can survive that shaking of a 9.0 earthquake. I don't know. But those things that you're going to want to consider when you're thinking of, living on the coast is natural disaster risks. They are real on the Oregon coast. It's mainly earthquake, tsunami. So be prepared. Number 6 on our list is limited healthcare resources. There's a lot of rural communities on the coast, and, we've gone through them in different videos of healthcare options on the coast. Major cities, on the coast, Astoria, Seaside, Tillamook, Newport, Florence, North Vancouver Bay, Brookings, Gold Beach. They all have great hospitals, and then there's smaller clinics in the other towns. And, everything is within 30 to 45 minutes of one of those towns, when it comes to your healthcare options. So whether you're looking to move on the southern Oregon coast, central Oregon coast, northern Oregon coast, you're going to want to know what your needs are, how close you need to be to a hospital. I have calls all the time. We talk all the time about, where's the closest hospital? How long does it take to get there? What are the services that it provides? Those are things that you're going to want to know and that you're going to need to know in order to make your decision. So also, how close is it to the Willamette Valley, or how close is it to Grants Pass, Medford? You're going to want to know those things. How are you going to get there? How long is it going to take? Those are things that, quality of life things that you're going to have to know. So that is definitely a reason. Obviously there is limited healthcare resources, but there are healthcare resources. So I just want you to think through those things when you're thinking about moving to the coast, and that's number 6 on our list. Number 7 on our list is traffic and infrastructure. Roads are sometimes being washed out. There's landslides. Obviously, the bridges are old. They were built in the 1930s, a lot of them. A lot of the roads are single road highways, not a lot of passing lanes. A lot of them need updating, need to be, fixed, or, a new layer put on them. all over the Oregon coast, 363 miles of coastline, lots of roads, lots of pavement. And that, at the end of the day is going to go bad at some point. And with a growing population, with tourism off the charts, daily commutes, and all kinds of travel within the state, those things are things you're going to have to worry about. And the traffic, with a lot of single lane highways, and you've also got tourism from May till about late September, middle to late September. That can create a lot of congestion as well. Is it as bad as, these major city centers during rush hour? When I go to Seattle or Portland or any of these other areas, every single day it's completely congested and inundated. It's nothing like that, but it is congested. It's a slower pace of life on the coast. And so when you're used to being able to go where you want, when you want, how you want, and then all of a sudden there's an inundation of tourism, then you have to think through, okay, I got to take 10 more minutes to get where I need to go. Not a big deal, but it's something that you're definitely going to want to think about. And if you're coming from a metropolitan area, it's actually going to be a lot better than you're used to. So that's one thing. One reason not to move to the Oregon coast is there's just not as many roads. The roads aren't as great, and the traffic does get congested during the summer months with tourism. Number 8 on our list is Oregon's environmental regulations. There is a big push for conservation and protection, and those things are all great and well, but they do come in conflict with the growth of a coastal community, whether that's building houses or building subdivisions or putting in a septic or renewing a septic or putting in a well, basic things that you need for your house or for your community. It seems like there's a barrier in coming from Salem or from the counties or from the cities all the time. And so whatever you want to do on your coastal journey and your coastal goals, building, buying, investing on the coast, just look through each county, each town. That goes all the way down to, short-term rentals. When you want to buy a short-term rental property and you want to rent it out, there's been limitations on that for a number of different reasons. So environmental regulations and just regulations in general in Oregon, it's almost, sometimes it becomes too much. I think, I get the spirit of what they're trying to do, but the actual implementation of regulations, sometimes it becomes too much. And I think that what they do is they create more problems than what they're trying to actually, what they maybe, it depends on if you really understand intentions, but, and that boat is hard to turn, once you put in all these regulations, you got to have somebody that comes in. To change that, it's just going to be tough. So those are our top 8 potential challenges when you're moving to the Oregon coast, things of why you might not want to move to the Oregon coast. So I hope I answered some of your questions of why would I not want to move to the Oregon coast, but why would you want to move to the Oregon coast? Man, there's so many reasons. It's really a great place to live, great communities, great beauty, great pace of life, great control of things that you want to be in control of. And I would say if you have questions, if you have goals, if you have things that you're inquiring about on the Oregon coast and you need boots on the ground, you need help, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I get them every day. Love to answer your calls. Let me know what you need, how you need help, and where we can go from here. My name's Eddie, and just remember, let's make this the best day ever. Have a great day, folks.